laddie dear, and did you hear the news that's going round? The shamrock is by law forbid to grow on Irish ground. St. Patrick's Day no more will keep his colours.
I'm Megan Fox reporting for Storytime Digital Media. We're here at Tinley Park on Oak Park Avenue, and the Irish Parade is about to start. And the citizens of Tinley Park are in the parking lot of Central Middle School right now with their float, getting ready to march down Oak Park Avenue to stand up for government transparency in Tinley Park. It was so good! Hi! This looks awesome! Here we are at the Citizens of Tinley Park Parade float. It turned out so good! The other day we saw it when it was just bare, and now look! It looks so good!
Great job with this. Are you happy with how it turned out?
The weather isn't cooperating.
This is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You are very talented.
That next one will be the Taj Mahal. Yes, appropriate. Mayor David Seaman's banner just went by. There were two people.
Nobody
walking behind it. Not a soul. It said, there was a big sign at the village board. Mayor David Seaman and Patrick Ray and Brian Maher. And, yep, nobody was walking. Where's the mayor? Why wasn't he walking behind his sign? So the board members get driven around in cars at the parade, in their own little cars. It's very strange. Don't you find that strange? Don't you find that a little weird? Like are they pretending to be the Kennedys? Nobody cares. Like no one's clapping, no one's waving, and nobody cares. Oh, we'll see what happens. Vandenberg and Pinito and Yonkers is going to be coming down with their big digital sign. We're standing in front of a giant truck with a digital display that trustees Yonker, Pinito, and Vandenberg are advertising for the citizens of Tinley Park. I don't know if that's a great development or a good one, or I don't know. I think it works.
Was working on the railway. In 1846, I changed the carry and Richmond working. I was wearing all right riches, digging riches, on the switches, on the riches side. Was working on the railway.
It's the Pizza King!
What is Pizza King mean?
Ed and Joe's, the guy who owns that, is the pizza commissioner of Tinley Park. He owns Ed and Joe's, and he was sitting on some commission somewhere, and he was buying all of his pizza on the village for it to stuff their faces at the board meeting. Pizza King of Tinley Park! It's like the Sausage King of Chicago.
But there's lots of stuff that's...
organized. They have worked so hard over the last couple of weeks, and here they are. They have gotten all their neighbors together to walk in this parade. They've decorated the float. It looks really good. And here they come. I'm so proud of them. I've never seen 4,000 people, organized like this. And here they are. They're doing a great job by really getting the word out to the neighborhood. Look at their signs up that they look. Lodge for the citizens of Tinley Park after party from the Irish Parade. This is the day when they've decided to get together and really celebrate their accomplishments over the past several weeks of holding their government accountable.
Some of the people who might have been front and center that you guys might see a lot of posting on, and some of us have crazy pictures on our Facebook page, but the first one is Chris Brogan, he and his wife Hilda. Trent and your wife? Erin. Okay. There's Mike Fitzgerald and his wife Jen. Ken Shaw and Roz. Mark Weinling, Carol, Ben Denoyer, and Kristen. Yeah, okay. So, wait 1 second, my iPhone just my wife, Carrie. Looking good. Come on up here. Come on, I know that drives you nuts.
Don't you go hiding.
So the first thing to do is to thank all the wonderful sponsors that we had here tonight. So let's hear it for the Viking Lodge. And I also want to say thank you to the music pros. They donated their services. Great job, man. Thank you. So we're not going to take it. All right. I will tell you, though, we're just at the beginning, because ultimately all of us believe very much in the community we live in because of exactly what you see here tonight. Once we stop Buckeye, we're going to make sure that from here on out we hold these people accountable. Right? There is not, everybody wants to make sure there's not a personal agenda, there's not something. I can tell you, every single person here, person by person, has a full-time job. We're not aspiring to take Amy's job. We're not aspiring to take someone else's job. There's nothing here. We simply are not going to go for this, right? And so the fact of the matter is, it takes people to actually want to participate and get involved, and that's where we're at right now. And we have to keep that going. From this point forward, we all have to make sure that we keep it going. So, with that in mind, we are going to play a little Twisted Sister. We're not going to take it anymore. All right? So thank you all for coming. Citizens of Tinley Park, here we go.
I'm Megan Fox from Storytime Digital Media. I'm standing here with Matt Coughlin. He is one of the founders of the Citizens of Tinley Park, and he's been the spokesman from the beginning. And we're standing outside the Viking Lodge, where a big party is being thrown for the citizens of Tinley Park after the Irish Parade. Matt, what was the impetus for this party?
Well, Megan, I think the impetus is simply the fact that that actually the community came together in a way to stop something they thought was unjust. And I think that's really important, because really what you have here is a blueprint for communities around the country to understand that they actually have a say, that they can stop things when they think they're wrong. And so if you think about it, what's happened here is we have the citizens of Tinley Park, which is entirely a group of citizens who simply bonded together and galvanized around the fact that they did not want this to happen in their community. Secondly, you had Storytime Digital Media, which was a group that actually just simply wanted to provide the truth and provide what was going on. Someone needs to know about this. People need to know about this in order to mobilize and get active. And what's really important about what happened here was that the combination of those two things came together, and it created a sense of community and the fact that everyone knew that we could actually change this. And we're pretty excited about that because right now we can feel the momentum behind our movement. We feel that people know their voice is now being heard. The citizens of Tinley Park need a huge thank you and accolades, right? They have determined that they want to make sure their voice is heard. And I think that's going to happen until their voice is heard consistently. I think you have to understand what's going on in your community, and you have to actually take a personal interest in making sure that that actually occurs. And that's what's happening here. Anyone looking at this or listening or watching real-time or Storytime Digital Media should go and find out what's going on in their community. Because I promise you, there's something you don't know about that actually is going to happen. Storytime Media, since day one, has wanted to provide simply a voice to the people. So they've given us a platform for us to reach more people because there's no doubt about it. Video and the ability to see someone communicate real time is more effective than any other way of communication. And what we know for sure is that the combination of social media, Storytime Digital Media, and the ability for us to actually go out in the community and raise awareness has been a winning solution. And
speaking of social media, Facebook is where this all started for the Citizens of Tinley Park page.
Yeah.
You were one of the founders. There were 6 of you that began the Facebook page. Were you surprised at how quickly the numbers grew?
You know, I would say yes, but the fact is, if you look at it, you know, there was a coup in Egypt where a 31-year military regime was overthrown through social media. What I think is interesting about social media and digital media together is that it creates a platform to mobilize people to understand when something is not right. And this was not right. So was I surprised? No, I was not. Was I excited the fact that everybody in my community actually did step up? When you think about it, we have 5,000 active participants in our social media campaign today. Basically, that's more than showed up for our entire election. More than showed up for our entire election in the last campaign, on both sides. Whether you voted for candidate A or B, today there's more people involved in what we're doing that showed up for both groups in the last election.
Not only that, I made this point today earlier. This is one of those issues where it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican. Everybody is angry at one entity, and that's the village of Tinley Park.
Well, it's a combination of one entity. For sure, we have found a gap in our leadership. They have not met our needs. But I will tell you, the one thing I can tell you will galvanize people is when there's injustice. You know, it's kind of an innate thing that we Americans have, which is this notion that injustice will not be allowed. And so it strikes right at our core, right? And I think what's really interesting about what's occurred here is the fact that we have a greedy profiteer who has taken something that was designed. It was designed to help people who are less fortunate. It was not designed to create disproportionate returns for a greedy group of investors. And so I think the combination of local leadership dropping the ball, but also having an outside entity with greedy profit expectations, greedy approach to business, and greedy taking advantage of others really struck at the core of our values. The first thing I would encourage every single person to do is do your own personal investigation. You have so many things at your disposal. Simply log onto your computer, look on Google, find out where you see information. But I will tell you, put in the keyword Buckeye and FBI. If those two things show up, you certainly have something you should be concerned about. If you put in the word Buckeye and scandal and things show up, certainly be interested. Okay? The fact of the matter is, this is not a great social citizen is they are wolves in sheep's clothing. In other words, they show up under the pretext that they're going to help you, and they're here to do something for your community that's really needed. The fact of the matter is, they're here to make money on you. They're here to create returns for their shareholders, period. Make no mistake about it, those are the facts. We're compassionate people in the fact that ultimately over 20% of our housing inventory here in Tinley Park is actually categorically affordable housing. In addition to that, more than 37% of the students in the Tinley Park schools actually get free lunch, free hot lunch. This is not a community that doesn't have a heart. And you know what? When someone arrives at your shores and describes you as anything less than what you are, then you should take them to task. You should make sure that you defend yourself.
Okay, I was at the picket line yesterday, and there were a bunch of people who have been picketing there every weekend, and they informed me that they're gathering to go to the school board meeting, which is March 14th, and they're going to demand Amy Connolly's resignation because she is still the secretary of the school board, and people feel that she has really broken their trust, and they want her resignation. What are your thoughts on that?
Megan, what I can tell you about that is I can understand where those people are coming from. I think, first of all, it's hard for me to understand how someone can act with great character in one job and a lack of character in another. I think those two things are really unlikely. That being said, I don't have any personal vendetta. However, I will tell you that what the citizens should look for are the single best representatives in every single one of their elected offices. Their school board happens to be an elected spot. What you should look for is, do I have this single best person in that seat? If that is not the case, take action. Do something about it. Remove that person. I've seen the city actually treat this company with an entirely different level of respect and admiration than they do their own citizens. And that's more condemning than anything I can say, because, quite honestly, for those of us who have been through the water meter scandal, through the cell phone tower scandal, through this scandal, simply
Monica Rubin's fence?
Yeah, the Monica Rubin fence, right? Well, listen, the fact of the matter is...
Poor Rubens and their fence. The most famous fence in Tinley Park.
Yes.
We need to take a drive-by.
It had more votes than the $17 million project that's going to be put on the corner. What the Buckeye Project created was, I think, a level of transparency and awareness around what has been really ineffective government, really ineffective local government. From the council that we've hired to actually be part of our community to protect our interests, being woefully inadequate. If it hasn't already been done, we should be terminating their contract. The amount of interest we have right now in our local government, I don't see it diminishing anytime soon. And quite honestly, until we see a change in the momentum, which is until we see open, transparent government, I think people are going to stay continuously involved. Term limits are required. In my mind...
Including for mayor?
Including for mayor. And I will tell you, the fact of the matter is, you can't have a sense of motivation, a burning platform, determination to make change for the positive when you've been in a position for 20 years. What we have here is we have some trustees who have been hanging around entirely too long. We have some people involved in our local government who have been hanging around entirely too long. And so I will tell you, there's not one single individual, but what I would raise awareness for is term limits and making sure that you have what I call healthy churn in your local government, which is new ideas, new motivation, the idea of not making money through your government participation.
Well, it's been a great St. Patrick's Day here in Tinley Park. We're wrapping it up here at the Citizens of Tinley Park after party. Things are a little bit nuts. This has been Megan Fox reporting from Tinley Park at the Irish Parade.